Are you rolling?
I'm rolling. It's done. Everything you've done since you went up to the lectern. Yeah.
Otherwise, we won't be able to see.
Hitting Ann too.
There we go.
Well, welcome to the CONA meeting of September 14, 2015. This is the members' meeting, and I'm calling it to order. Tonight our meeting will feature John McCarthy and the scope of the report. And that's my telephone. I'll have to keep my microphone away from it. There are some announcements that I have. Coming in October, our meeting will be the criminalization of mental health, presented by Larry Eager, who's the public defender for the county. And on November, we'll have a waterfront neighborhood meetings, which will be Russ Hoffman, who specializes in natural environmental treatments for water elements in neighborhoods, be it a stormwater retention pond, a lake, the bayfront, or rivers, which will be very interesting. And then on November 16th, we'll be having a special party by invitation, which is a fundraising party, and those invitations will go out in October. The party is going to be held at Michael's on East. We had one a couple of years ago as a fundraiser, and it worked very well. Sarasota County, or Sarasota Coalition of City Neighborhood Associations, better known as CCNA, will have its next meeting on October 3 at 9 a.m., where Karen Murphy of the Urban Design Studio will be presenting the audits of the neighborhoods. And also Doug Logan of the Special Initiatives on Chronic Homelessness will also give a report. And I have Jennifer Schaefer here this evening, who would like to give you some information about the Science and Environmental Council.
Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity to get on film. I'm with the Science and Environment Council. I'm the co-executive director. My other co is in the back row, David Schaefer. Raise your hand. Yay. And just as CONA is a coalition of neighborhoods, the Science and Environment Council is a coalition of science-based environmental organizations in Sarasota and Manatee counties, representing 28 of the leading organizations, sort of the who's who. Part of what we do is outreach to the public on science-based environmental issues, and I'm here tonight offering gifts, actually. I want to talk to you about two initiatives. The first is that the Science and Environment Council would like to contribute environmental news and articles to your neighborhood newsletters, and newspapers. I have a sign-up sheet, so if your neighborhood has a publication and you're looking for content, we would like to contribute on a variety of different environmental issues, everything from treating stormwater to picking up pet waste to Florida native plants, a variety of environmental topics that will be relevant to your residents. So let me start by passing that around. If you have interest, ideally we'd like the name of your editor, but any contact would be appreciated. Secondly, we have a initiative to help clean up our stormwater. The two primary stormwater pollutants in our area are fertilizer and pet waste, which make their way from yards, sidewalks, gutters, down into our stormwater system untreated, right into our creeks and bays. One important thing that communities can do to keep our creeks and bays clean is to promote an ethic or to promote a norm in their neighborhood for pet owners to pick up after their pets. We've developed a pet waste campaign which features our poop fairy character. There is no poop fairy, so pick it up. And we've developed a prototype community bag station that your community could adopt, have multiple stations at sort of the pet waste hotspots around your neighborhood. And they feature a small but sort of hilarious sign, oh thank you, as well as a grocery bag holder, because it's meant to be a community-stocked station. Thank you. And the sign says, take a bag, replace a bag. So you're caught out, whoops, I forgot my bag, there's a convenience station there. Or a dog walker is visiting your neighborhood and doesn't know that there's an ethic, a norm in your neighborhood to pick up. This sign will make it clear. There's an easy way to pick up after your pet. And so I have a second sign-up sheet that I'd like to send around. If your neighborhood is interested in participating in this program to try out putting a couple of these stations in your neighborhood, they attach to existing sign poles along the side of the street or in a park. Let us know, and we'd like to work with you. So I'll send this sign-up sheet around. Yes, we want more information on community dog bag stations for my community. We also have an informational card that we can provide in large quantities to your neighborhood. It's the Poop Fairy rack card, reminding you there is no poop fairy, so pick it up. And on the reverse side is a fun infographic that tells you in detail the actual health and environmental consequences when we don't pick up after our pets. So if you'd like some of these, I'll leave a stack at the front, and you can grab some on your way out, put them at your community neighborhood center, hand them out to your neighbors if you've got impolite neighbors who are leaving you unwanted presents. Also, sort of as a preview to Russ Hoffman, who's going to be talking to you about how you can handle water, stormwater in your neighborhood, we've also designed what we call story sheets. Attractive two-page informational sheets on various topics related to stormwater treatment in residential neighborhoods and in commercial developments. They're displayed on the rack in the front. Again, feel free to grab a stack to distribute in your neighborhood. We have one on commercial low-impact design featuring the new building at Osprey and Mound Street, P.F. Chang's. They use a number of low-impact development techniques on site. Right behind it, the homes of Laurel Park. You may even recall driving up and down Fruitville and seeing a Marathon gas station that has a gorgeous rain garden in the front. We have another one on bioswales. What is a bioswale? How does it work? And what are those things I see popping up around town? This will tell you all about those. Information on the restoration at Redbud Slough. And finally, an information sheet called On Bird Bay Pond, which gives an example of how a residential neighborhood with stormwater retention ponds that might have gone to muck can be restored to a beautiful sanctuary for wildlife and a beautiful water feature. So again, these are at the front. Feel free to help yourself. Thanks so much.
you, Jennifer. And I'll post information and a contact to your website on our website.
Great.
I wanted to ask Jennifer, if we get a setup for our neighborhood, is it county approved to put on a street sign?
We're working with the city right now,
Oh.
with the Laurel Park neighborhood.
Laurel Park President.
So we're having the Public Utilities Department come out and see what we've created and make sure all the bolts are, OSHA approved or whatever. So yeah.
So they won't come and take it down if we put it up?
We'll make sure that we get it worked out before we do that, yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. During the meeting, we will accept questions from the audience on index cards, and there'll be a question and answer time following the presentation on scope. If you have a question and don't have a card, please hold up your hand and one of us will bring you over an index card and a pen. You can fill it out. And once you've completed that, if you'll hold it up again, somebody will come gather. SCOPE stands for Sarasota County Openly Plans for Excellence. It was formed more than 15 years ago to gather and provide community data for use in making decisions with the community about the future of their community. SCOPE recently has updated their community report card, a compilation of community indicators organized as domains of community well-being, whose data they have been sharing with the community through the community report card roadshow. Tonight we will present that roadshow and we will post onto our website a significant amount of the information afterward. I'm pleased to introduce our guest speaker, who's known for his career in historic preservation, parks and recreation, and now as the executive director of SCOPE, John McCarthy.
Thanks, everybody. It's our pleasure to be here tonight. I'd like to introduce the whole SCOPE team because the entire staff of SCOPE is with you tonight. Juliana Masheyev will help me present. And Juliana's a new college graduate. Has been working with SCOPE for several months. Feels like she's been there for a lot longer. And then next to her, Mary Butler. Mary's a native of Sarasota. Used to work for SCOPE years ago and recently rejoined the team. So as Kathy said, we're here tonight to share with you some of the information that's within our community report card. Here's the kind of the hard copy version. I'll just forego the mic for a minute. It's about 250 pages of all sorts of data about what's going on in Sarasota. These are kind of hard to come by. It takes a lot of trees to make one of these. You can go to the SCOPE website. You can see it all there. But what we're doing tonight is sharing with you a little bit of a sampler so you can get an idea of everything that's in it and how it might be useful to you and help you understand the community that you live in. And then one of the questions we're going to have for you at the end would be, what type of data would you like to see that might not be within either the report card now or the presentation that we have to share with you this evening? Well, why have a roadshow almost goes back to why have a SCOPE. And there are really only a handful of communities around the country that have something like a SCOPE, an organization that's dedicated strictly to collecting data and encouraging discussion about how we want things to be in our community. And over the years, SCOPE has done a number of study groups that kind of come out of the data, study groups on affordable housing, study groups on transportation, on mental health, on racial relationships. And this is what SCOPE has been up to for the last 15 or 16 years, publishing report cards, getting people to talk, and understand our community better. Our first series of roadshow events were actually large public events where we advertised. We were in libraries and community centers and other places from Newtown to Northport, Inglewood, Fruitville, Bee Ridge, all over the community. And then our next phase, which is what we're in now, is going out to specific groups to share the information with them and see how it can be helpful. I would like to point out that the entire report card was created essentially by new college graduates. The project manager was this young woman, Laurel Correo. Laurel right now is in Japan. She's teaching English, but she was the project manager on the report card and got it started. Nina Venter down here was kind of the chief number cruncher. And then Juliana got in the act and helped us wrap things up and share it with the community. Aaron Laparolari was with us for about a year and a half. Aaron also worked on report card, and Aaron and Joan Haber helped to push the report card out into the community. This is Mary Butler, who's here with us tonight. This is a gentleman named Sam Shimmick, who came with us on our road shows, and Sam actually has his own little foundation called the Face-to-Face Foundation that he established to get students in the local schools talking with one another, putting down their phones, and actually having conversations about important things. He came with us, and we used his technique for a number of our roadshow events. The other people that you see on here are board members of Scope, and it's kind of a cool little team we have. The report card, as Kathy mentioned, is set up not in chapters, but in what we call domains of well-being. And there's actually a whole industry around these community indicators now. And so it kind of divided up into some sections that you'll see, starting with demographics, going into things like learning, economics, civic engagement, the built environment, arts, culture, and recreation. These are just some of the areas. Health, environment, and then other aspects of the social life in Sarasota. So what we're going to do tonight, I distributed to many of you that came in a little pre-quiz. That's a fun thing, to take the pre-quiz and see how much you know about the community. We'll present some data. Juliana and I are going to share the responsibilities for that. We've got a little bit of group discussion, depending upon how much time you want to spend, and then wrap up with some questions that we have. You might have some for us, we have some for you. The iconography of the whole report card was designed by Michael Muscarello over at the Hub. This one is for the demographics, and just to get into some of the basic demographics of what's going on in our community. We have trend lines throughout the report card. It's, going back as far as we can get a lot of the information. And this one is basically showing our change in the total population of Sarasota County. So you see a steady growth line from that first point back in 2005 up to an estimated 387,000 residents in 2014. But if you look down at the bottom, one of the things that's kind of interesting about Sarasota is that more people die here than are born here. And so the net migration, the population growth is not due to families and having a lot of kids. It's really about people moving into the area. So our natural increase is actually a decrease over this period of time of about 7,000 people. But then we have migration in from U.S. and international migration as well that's boosted the number up to where it is. One of the things scopes like to do is kind of slice and dice information to take a closer look. You might think about our name as scope being Sarasota County Openly Plans for Excellence, or you might think of it being like a microscope or a telescope that's trying to look at things closer. And so what you have here is basically breakouts in years showing some of the recent changes from 2010 to 2013 of the age breakouts of the population in Sarasota. So you have everything here from the youngsters under 5 years old to 25 to 34-year-olds, and then of course we see a big peak here at the 65 to 74-year-olds. And you can see how some of these age groups go up and down a little bit over the years. Looks like this one has been steadily going up. Here's another way to kind of look at population by age, and this begins to compare data with other areas. So this is another thing that we do at Scope, comparing Sarasota to Florida and the United States. And so when you look at the blue colored areas, those are residents who are 60 years or over. And when you look at the black, it's under 60. And you can see that Sarasota is a little bit different than the United States at large. Florida is a little different than the United States. Sarasota is quite a bit different, of course, because we're known as a retiree community. Here's another way to show that, basically with Sarasota County's median age at 53.9. State of Florida is at 41, and the U.S. at 37. It kind of makes Sarasota a bellwether for issues related to aging. In terms of population by race and ethnicity, you can see the breakout here. Largest percentage are Caucasian or white. The next largest percentage is Hispanic or Latino of any race. Next followed by Black or African American, and then slender slivers for Native American, Native Alaskan, Asian, Hawaiian, other race, or two or more races together. And if we get beyond ethnicity and we look at ancestry, it's kind of interesting for Sarasota. This is actually one of the quiz questions that asked what's the most common ancestry in Sarasota, and if you were to try to pinpoint that down to one particular country, it would be Germany. But if you were to combine the Irish and the English together in Great Britain, then they would be the greatest amount of ancestry. But maybe what's interesting is really when you look at all the other ancestries that are represented by people who currently live in Sarasota. All right, we're going to talk some economics, and I think Juliana's going to come up and handle some of this for me.
Hi.
Hi.
So this is the economics domain of well-being in our community report card, and we start with the basics. So that's unemployment rate, and you see the recession right there in that bump, and the unemployment rate peaked during the recession in 2010 when it reached 11.9%. It's now about half at 5.8 in Sarasota, but it hasn't reached pre-recession levels of 2006, where it was at 3.1. But we're getting there. We broke it down by age, and we saw that for every age group, almost, the unemployment rate has gone down, except for the young adults, ages 20 to 24. And currently, or the most recent data point shows the 20 to 24 age group having the highest rate of unemployment. So that might be why people want to leave. Then we broke it down by race. So you have white, Hispanic, and Black, and it's comparing Sarasota to Florida. And what you can see here is that the minority populations have a higher unemployment rate, especially the African American population having unemployment rate twice as high both in Sarasota and in Florida. So